This video was brought to you by Squarespace. Thank you, Squarespace. Every 3 years, a very special moment happens. You choose your next best friend for your Pokemon adventure. And since 2013, every 3 years also happens to give us a crazy cool, wacky, silly, goofy, fun mechanic with each new game. X and Y gave us Mega Evolutions, Sun and Moon gave us Z moves, Sword and Shield gave us Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing, and now with Scarlet and Violet, we have a new zing, Terastalizing. And I mean, sure, the mechanic of Terastalizing is pretty neat, being able to change a Pokemon's typing and all, turning into a crystal, maybe getting a fun little hat, and it's probably a heap load more balanced than the few sprinkles of Pokemon that had Mega Evolutions. But I still miss them! Now I don't know what it is, I don't care what it is, I just can't deny Mega Evolutions are bloody cool. And with nostalgia high for Generation 6, and the rumor of Gen 6 content in Scarlet and Violet, what's that grayed out area over there? Oh, is that Kalos? I thought it would be kind of fun to design some Mega Evolutions for the 3 new starters in Paldea. So let's not waste any time and take a look at our first starter line. Okay, so starting with Sprigatito, the grass cat Pokemon, which happens to be grass, evolves into Florgato, which then finally evolves into Meowscarada, the magician Pokemon, and gains a dark type. Now, if I'm honest, initially, I wasn't really sold on Sprigatito's design. However, leading up to the release of Scarlet and Violet, the design really grew on me to the point where I almost chose it as my starter. But that would break my tradition! And I really like the direction it took with its evolutions. Honestly, Florgato is easily the best mid-stage evolution we've had in a long time. I don't care what you guys say about Scorbunny's mid-stage, that didn't look good. I think a lot of people expected this Pokemon to just start fencing Puss in Boots style, but I absolutely adore what the designers did with the magician motif and the masquerade mask. So let's take a deeper look at Meowscarada to see where we can expand upon the design. So from Scarlet's entry, we can gather that this Pokemon's cape is actually an invisibility cloak, and from Violet we find out that Meowscarada uses pollen-packed flower bombs on its opponents. It's a pollen-packed sentence. Okay, so here's what we got. We have a dark magician cat with an invisibility cloak that attacks their opponents with floral explosives. Where can we take that? Well, it's got the masquerade mask. Maybe we could do something with that. Make it go a little bit more crazy. We could showcase magic and card iconography. It's already got the diamonds on its mask. Maybe we could implement more card suit shaped language in its design. I'd also love to lean into the idea of flower cards, Hanafuda, because that's perfect for a grass magician. But Hanafuda isn't really Spain themed. There's a lot of different ways we can take this design. So let's see what happens. With its newfound knowledge in forbidden magic, Meowscarada uses its cape and mask to further hide its identity. Some even mistake it for other rabbit-like Pokemon whilst it's in this form. It uses its knowledge of forbidden magic to turn its grass balls into razor-sharp throwing knives, juggling them with its new psychic abilities. Okay, now that this design is finished, I am very, very happy with how it turned out. So whilst I was in the idea phase of this design, I started thinking about forbidden magic, and then once I thought of that, it was very clear with what I was going to do. Meowscarada by default already has a good mystery aspect to it, but having that mystery be because it's trying to hide something which it knows it probably shouldn't do makes it that much more cool. And although it's kind of corny, I think having the paw open up to reveal an eye is super fun and silly. And of course I still want it to look like a cat, but the idea of it trying to disguise itself as a different animal I think is a really fun idea too. So going into designing this Mega Evolution, I really wanted to implement a magic act in some way. Initially I was thinking, oh yeah, the cut in half box thing, because it can reflect or hide itself. Oh, it can hide part of its body, but I just didn't know how to implement that and make it look good. So when knife juggling came into my mind, I could implement a magic act and make it look good. I also really wanted to implement the different card suits into this Mega's design and possibly just do something with cards in general. But whatever I was trying just wasn't working well. So I thought leaving them as psychic symbols was more than enough and fit super well with the theming. Super happy with how this turned out and can't wait to do the next. But you know what I can't wait for even more? To build a website. I can't wait! So good thing this video is brought to you by Squarespace. It's the cure to my addiction, website making. Listen, you can choose from thousands of templates and customize them to fit your needs with absolutely zero coding required. Whether it's personal, building a portfolio like me, or to get get an online presence with your business? There's only one place, and that place is Squarespace. Want to show off a portfolio of videos you've worked on? You can upload and embed videos directly into your site. Want to figure out exactly what's going on with the traffic to your site? Use Squarespace's plethora of analytical tools to improve your site and make it the best it can be. Head on over to squarespace.com to start building your site right now, and once you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/GetMadz to get 10% off your first purchase of your website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Okay, so next in line is the Firestarter Fuecoco, the Fire Croc Pokemon, which then evolves to Crocalor, and then finally evolving to Skellydirge, the Singer Pokemon, and gains the Ghost type. Now, I'm gonna be blunt. The Fuecoco line is Fuecoco cool as fuck! I rotate back and forth every generation with fire and grass, so I am very, very glad the Firestarter this time around is a skeleton crocodile. So let's figure out where we can take this design. So from Scarlet's entry, we know the bird changes shape when it sings, and that said bird was born when a fireball on its head gained a soul. Okay. And from Violet, we're told that Skellydirge's singing soothes the souls of all that hear it, and that it burns its enemies to a crisp with temperatures of over 4,500 degrees. How lovely! I've also been told by people that its body looks like a saxophone, and that the head is the shape of a mandolin. What? So you're telling me we've got a fire alligator who sings, whose body is a saxophone, with a head as a mandolin, who's also a ghost, and also has a bird? Who said this looks like a saxophone? Since the bird went from an egg with Crocalor into being alive with Skellydirge, what if the bird becomes fully grown with its Mega Evolution? The design of Skellydirge in general is super blocky, so maybe we could lean into the sound idea and do some fiery music visualizer with sound bars. It already turns into a microphone. What if we made it turn into an entire music studio? We can make the bird carry the crocodile and have its talons be in the shape of a rib cage. Maybe that could be kind of cool. This is definitely the Pokemon which I have the most designs going in. So let's take a look at the Mega Evolution. When affected by the Mega Stone, the fiery bird atop Skellydirge spreads its flames to the size of a fully grown phoenix, a form said to only appear due to Mega Evolution. Rumor says that when this Pokemon returns to its original form, a new soul sits atop Skellydirge, representing rebirth, the cycle of life, and are we sure it's a phoenix and not a pigeon? This design is silly. Even though I had the most design ideas going into designing this Mega, I also struggled way more than I did with Meowscarada. I think because adding a giant bird is such a huge shift / addition to the design, building around that wasn't as straightforward as just, oh, let's add horns. I did make the design overall longer, bigger snout, longer body, which I think works well alongside the big bird, and having one huge primary change is actually quite common for Mega Evolutions, such as Mega Slowbro or Mega Kangaskhan, but some of me still thinks I could have pushed the design even more with the fiery ribcage idea akin to Attack on Titan, or instead of doing one big bird, do a bunch of small birds forming a choir or band around the crocodile. But regardless, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm still really happy with how this design turned out. And now we're finishing off with the water starter, Quaxly, the duckling Pokemon, which evolves to Quaxwell, the practicing Pokemon, and finally evolves to Quaquavel, the dancer Pokemon, and gains the fighting type. Everyone kept saying Quaxly looks like me. Does that mean this is my future? Alright, let's see what we're working with Quaquavel to see how we can design its Mega. So from Scarlet, we know Quaquavel kicks trucks for fun and misses the days where commentary channels had cluster truck gameplay in the back of their videos. And from Violet, we learned that this Pokemon makes all that see it mesmerized. Both Dex entries also mention that its dances are reminiscent of a faraway land. This is most likely because Quaxwell, its previous form, observes people and Pokemon from various regions to incorporate into its dance routines. Hence why it's called the practicing Pokemon. So what are some ideas I have for this funny duck? I found some images of peacocks fighting in the air, so leaning into something like that could be really fun. I also want to make a bigger focus on its legs, as it seems to use kicking as its main form of attack. And I think making its show-offiness even more apparent would be a really fun way to take this design. So without further ado, let's take a look at Mega Quaquavel. Am I saying that right? When in this form, Quaquavel gets a crazy bandana head thing and its butt changes colors. I don't really know what to say. So I wanted to take this design to be further inspired by Samba dancers, but at the same time, I also really wanted to lean into the fighting aspect of this Pokemon more. So I did both. I made its tail more vibrant and in your face, while pushing its body to resemble a ripped gi, and gave it a headband like you would see in Street Fighter. I love the idea of the eyebrows turning into a headband. That's by far my favorite part of this design. And even though this is mainly a make the design crazier kind of Mega Evolution akin to Lucario and Blaziken, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. And with that, we have a new Mega Evolution for every new starter in Paldea. This video is a really fun challenge and also really different to what I'm used to. So let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the comments below. And whilst you're down there, let me know what your favorite design was. Do you agree with my changes? What would you change? Be absolutely as honest as possible. As long as you're not being too mean.